Dad, looking at all these games then, because I'm wary of time. We've got Norwich, West Brom, Watford, Southampton, QPR. And I know you normally line a few questions up for me, but I'm going to fire you the first one, which you would typically hand to me. Yeah. What's a good points return for Blues from these 5 then? So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. And as the international break's still going on, myself and Dad thought it'd be a good opportunity to do one of these videos that we do intermittently where it's our next 5 fixtures. We talk about each game briefly, and then we end the podcast thinking about, what would be a good points return or what would be a good outlook for Blues at the end of these. So just to remind people of our next 5 fixtures, we face Norwich at home, West Brom away, Watford at home, Southampton away, and QPR away. So, Dad, first obvious observation there, we will start with Norwich, is 3 away games, 2 home games.
Yeah, and you look at any batch of games, whoever you're playing, you think, well, where are we going to get points here? It's they're all tough. There's no easy batch of games in this league. I mean, last season when we were doing this in League One, you could think to yourself, there's points there to be had. I mean, there is in all games, obviously, but when you look at those 5 you just mentioned there, 3 tough away games again, and it's the home games, isn't it? We're strong at home. And, we know that we have to do something about our away form because that's going to really scupper us this season if we don't start to pick up points away. But, I say unfortunately, we start against Norwich, who have, at the time of recording, have looking for a new manager. Liam Manning was sacked, last week.
Honking start for Norwich,
yeah.
23rd.
I know, it's staggering. So what I'm going to clarify, obviously we're recording this a few days earlier, so it's quite possible that they might have appointed a manager by the time this goes out. But yeah, 23rd. No, that's really taken me by surprise because I'm pretty certain that they're obviously better than that. They clearly are, but the league
They've not won a game at Carrow Road, Dad.
The league position doesn't lie, does it? So even though they're better than that, they actually deserve to be there because the league table says they are. Yeah, they've lost. Is it 7 at home?
They've not got a single point, not a draw. They've lost all 7 games at home, which for Norwich, Dad, they're a solid championship team. Carrow Road is notoriously a difficult place to go. They've lost 7 out of 7 at home.
Yeah, so they've lost at home to Middlesbrough, at home to Hull, at home to Millwall, at home to Bristol City, home to Leicester, home to Wrexham, home to West Brom. Sorry, Norwich fans. I mean, that's probably a nightmare for you too, but that is staggering to have 7 defeats in a row at home is absolutely staggering. They've only won twice. They've won twice away. They beat Blackburn 2-0 and they've beaten Portsmouth 2-1. That's their only 2 wins. They drew at Sheffield Wednesday and they've drawn, surprisingly, at Coventry and Stoke. So they've got some good away. This is the thing, on paper, they look like they clearly are at the moment, better away than they are at home. Now, they're coming to us with this, transition period. So it's hard to predict what they're going to do because you could have looked at the way Liam Manning set them up, and you could sort of guess where and how they're going to play. But you can't now. And whether it's a interim manager or a new manager, they're going to be very much an unknown quantity. But they have got good players, though, Matt. I mean, you look through. I mean, Josh Sargent in particular, he is a standout player for them. He nearly went in the summer.
Was it not 20 million or something as well?
I believe it was close.
It's a lot of money.
I think it was Wolfsburg or somebody like that who was interested in him. But you look through them team. I mean, Liam Manning was playing a 4-2-3-1, which is the same system as us. But they got obviously Josh Sargent, who is their he was their lead scorer last season as well. So I've just looked at the team. I'm looking at the team for the West Brom game, which is next. But now I've got their team. They spent a lot of money on a player called Kifsgaarden, a big, tall. I think they got him from one of the Scandinavian teams, didn't they? Got him from Brøndby. So that's the Danish team. He's not really ignited yet. McCarmer's a good winger that they've got on the right. Harry Darling went there. He was linked to us in the summer
from Swansea on a free, I think.
Yeah, McLean. Obviously, they've got experienced players. I mean, I do look at that team, to be honest with you. I do wonder why they're 23rd.
I think when you get off to a bad start, that it could be confidence as well as bad management. Obviously, Liam Manning's been sacked for a reason, but when you're in that rut and you're in that hole and you just can't see a way out of it, it's a real confidence drag, isn't it? You really have to pick yourself up to get out of that. And I've watched quite a bit of Norwich. When I say I've watched quite a bit, I always do my research on teams. I always look at highlights at the weekend and things like that. And granted, they can't give you the full picture, but the goals they're conceding everywhere, balls in the box, corners, set pieces, long shots. They look like a team, Dad, that are really suffering from confidence issues. But they've got that kind of wounded animal analogy around them, haven't they? They're dangerous teams to play because they're going to have to turn it around at some point and they're going to want to prove something. So, we focus on Blues, we focus on us, but they, we definitely have to look at exploiting that lack of confidence at the moment, especially as the home team.
I think so, and I just think, obviously, before we go on to the next one, I just think with Norwich, there's always like a time to play teams and there's a time not to play teams. Like we played Middlesbrough, didn't we, in our last game, when they just their manager was speculated at the time to be going to Wolves, and he wasn't there on the touchline, and you could tell they were fired up. I think this could happen here as well. They'll know now that they've got either a new manager in place or one that will be coming in soon. So they're gonna really up their game, and it's almost like a free hit for them, really. I think this game for Norwich. So it's a dangerous game. We are at home. We are strong, and I would expect us to win. But again, it's just you just don't know what you're going to get because Norwich are better away than they are at home.
And they're a decent side. As in, they have got decent players. I think for them, it's a combination of bad management and lack of confidence, and they just haven't got firing yet. But there's no doubt Norwich. I don't think Norwich will get relegated, in my opinion. There's no doubt, in my opinion, they'll swing it round. But
they'll start
to climb. Absolutely no doubt.
Yeah.
But should we go on to West Brom? Shall I start on this one?
Yeah, you do West Brom.
Yeah. So poor start again for their standards. They are level on points with us, I believe, but we're just ahead of them on goal difference. But I class West Brom, Dad, similar to Norwich in terms of like a very established, solid championship team. When you look at the league table and you look at West Brom and you look at Norwich as those two teams, you normally expect them to be somewhere between 4th and 7th, 8th.
Yeah.
They're good.
I think that's fair.
They're good championship teams. So West Brom, for their standards, are having a poor start. And inconsistency. If you look at their results, Dad, they struggle to get momentum. Their recent form's really poor. And I actually work with a West Brom fan, Dad, and he was didn't have many complimentary things to say. He said they're really poor defensively this season. They're leaking goals that they haven't done in previous seasons, and they're not creating enough going forward either. So it seems like they've got a bit of a problem both ends of the pitch here.
They're stuttering, aren't they, Matt?
They are, yeah.
Because if you look at the start they made, they won 3 of the first 4, drawing the other one. So they started off with 3 wins and a draw, then 2 defeats at home to Derby and away to Middlesbrough, then a draw and a win, then loss, win, loss, draw, loss, win. They won their last game, didn't they, against Oxford 2-1 at home, which, with respect, you'd expect them to beat Oxford at home. We only narrowly beat Oxford at home as well. I think the Albion fans, the Baggies fans I know, they are, I suppose the word frustration for some of them, because I think that they saw this good start, and as you say, they've sort of like now gone on a pretty bad run. So they've lost 4 of the last 7 games. So that's four defeats, 2 wins and 1 draw.
Tell you who they need to get back, Dad, Asante Thomas from Coventry. He's absolutely banging him in, isn't he? He's the kind of player they need.
Yeah, you can always do that. Kind of look at players that do well that you've saw, but he is doing very, very well.
I do say that tongue in cheek, but they've also got rid of one of the biggest shock transfers for me this season. I say shock, I was just a little bit surprised. Was Tom Fellows to Southampton. And for the price tag as well, he's such a good player. I thought they let him go on the cheaper side. I thought he would have been a 20 million plus kind of player, but he is still young. He's a good player, but he left, But
he ended up much as Southampton.
No, he hasn't, to be fair. But they are they're a decent team, West Brom, and I think again, if they can start to make a few changes and get a bit of confidence, they're a good team. They'll be fine. Yeah. They're just in a little bit of a similar to Norwich, not as a bad one, but a little bit of a rut again.
I think it's Ryan Mason as well. He's a new manager. I think a lot of people looked at the blueprint Blues did about bringing in young managers, because a few teams have done that, including West Bromwich Albion, and it doesn't always work out that way, because obviously they're young, they come with ideas, but the reality of actually managing a team and actually getting results out of them is quite difficult. I think that's where Ryan Nelson's found that.
Who was the guy that left that? He was really popular. He went to Spain, Corberan. I forgot his name. Because
he went to Valencia, didn't he?
He had them playing really good football.
Yeah.
In fact, some West Brom fans, again, tongue in cheek. Do you remember when what's his name? Klopp left Liverpool. A few West Brom fans were going, he'd be perfect for the Liverpool job. Because again, tongue-in-cheek comment from the fans, but I think they really respected him and he had them playing. So I think you're right, Dad. Sometimes a younger, more fresher manager isn't always the best approach, is it?
But he's doing okay. But he's like Chris Davey. Chris, like you said, Matt, at the start of this, when we started talking about West Bromwich Albion, they're basically on the same points as us, and right stuck in middle table. So Chris Davies is doing the same job in the Championship as Ryan Mason is. Yeah. But again, just to highlight a few players, I know that Josh Madger hasn't really started firing. He's their number 9. But a player I like is Price. I can't remember his first name. I can't remember his Price anyway. When I've seen him, he looks lively. But from what I've read about him, he creates a load of chances, but he misses a load of chances.
Right.
Kogo
comes to mind.
Yeah. Mikey Johnson as well. He's good on their left. He's a good winger, good pacey winger. Caleb Taylor they've got, and Nate Phillips. They bought him from Liverpool. So there's again, like we've just spoken about with Carlan Grant is on their right wing as well. So just like we spoke about with Norwich. They're full of good players, but of course every team has got good players. It's how you get a tune out of them. So I think West Brom, for me, they're the type of team. If I'm honest, I don't know what they're going to do. So when I look at Norwich, I think Norwich will improve, right? But they've got to, because where they are. When I look at West Brom in mid-table, I'm not really overly convinced that they will.
But doesn't that scream a mid-table finish then?
Yeah,
if you don't know what they're going to do, they're not going to push, they're not going to drop, they're just going to hover.
Yeah, that's that, and we're in that position as well, because unless we sort out our way form, we're exactly the same. So for me, I think this is it's tricky because it's at their place. Away games are always tricky in the Championship, but I don't think there'll be much in this game when we play them. But we'll come on to when we do the preview. We'll talk about it in more detail.
In recent years, Dad, last time we were there in the Championship, it was under Mowbray and we lost 1-0 quite late. I think it came down our left, their right, and they cut in from memory.
Yeah,
and I think the time before that, or maybe the second time before that, was under Eustace, and Scott Hogan got a hat trick.
Yeah, we were 3-0 up and they got 3-2.
Yeah.
I remember that game as well. So we tend to have good games against the Baggies.
We do all right. I mean, I'd love to know. In fact, I haven't actually looked at this. I'd love to know what the head-to-head ratio is in terms of wins, loss, and draws. But I think we relatively do quite well against the Baggies, generally speaking.
Yeah,
but interesting to see that. But on the theme of not knowing what they're going to do or what team turns up, Dad, Watford screamed that for me. I mean, they're an odd team.
Yeah.
Again, from doing my research and looking at games, right, I've seen a bit of Watford, and one game they look really disorganised, dishevelled, a little bit all over the place. And the next game, they're like prime Brazil in the 90s. They're really, really good team, fast-flowing football. What I like about Watford, Dad, is when they turn it on and they play football, they're really fluid.
Yeah.
Especially down their right-hand side. They've got a player called Doumbia. He scored a screamer against, I think it was Middlesbrough. He was down their right-hand side. He cut in and pinged it in the top corner. Beautiful goal. And what I've seen from Watford, they have quite open games. They're quite an open team. Like they will go at you and attack, but they also do leave gaps for teams to come and attack them as well. Quite open games, but for me, Watford, Dad, epitomise at the moment not being able to know what team turns up.
Yeah, their manager, Javi Garcia, he's done a decent job since he came in. But why would you go back there? I mean, he was sacked once. I mean, I read somewhere on X when he was appointed. Somebody says, don't empty your box because you just keep it there because you won't be there very long. But he has done a really good job with them. So they've lost 2 of their last 9 games only. So since he's came in, they've won 4, lost 2. And drawn 3, so that's 10, isn't it? So basically, he's turned them around because they had a double loss. So basically, they lost their first game at Charlton, then had a win and 2 draws, then 2 losses, home to Blackburn and away to Millwall. I think that's the point where
are they in the table, Dad, Watford?
They're right with us. So they are basically sandwiched just below West Bromwich Albion in 20 points. So they're 1 point behind us.
Okay.
But, a win takes them into 7th.
Well, that's the nature of the Championship, isn't it?
I completely agree with what you said about them. I think they're quite a pacey team. They're quite. They play really good football. There's a player that I really like, which is one of their midfielders, Luza. Yeah, he looks really good as well. I wouldn't like to be a commentator for their team. Now we looking through some of the names in their teams. They got but it depends on what he plays. But in the last game, he played a 3-4-3 against Bristol City, and they had a guy called, and again, excuse me if I got this wrong, Kumangard as their central number 9. They had, and then on the right hand side they got Ivakanda, and on the left hand Dumbele. So they have got lots of, and they tend to do that with Watford. When you look through their team, they do recruit quite widely, don't they?
Yeah.
And they bring in players that you've not really heard of, and when you look at them, gosh, they're good. So I think they've got a good.
But they score some great goals, Dad.
Yeah.
They're not just screamers from outside the box in the top corner, but good team goals. Balls from deep. Good set pieces, good solid build-up play, and again, pacey wingers, pacey attackers. They do play good football. I think they're one to watch actually. If they can turn it on and get a bit of a run, they could actually do quite well, Watford. I think they could be a little bit of a dark horse.
Well, on current form, they'll be right up there because,
Yeah.
like I said, they've only lost 2 games in the last 10. So was it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Yes, 2 in the last 10. That's not bad.
That's
for the
good form.
Championship.
Yeah, it's good.
So and obviously there are 3 draws in there as well. 4 wins, 2 defeats, and 3 draws. Okay,
Yeah.
but they're definitely turning the corner. And obviously Garcia, they've reappointed him for a reason. So again, we're at home. And again, I can't see much in this game. But we've said this all through the season so far. It's only small margins that win or lose games.
Agreed, yeah, absolutely, Dad.
But looking forward to that. I like playing Watford.
I like playing Watford. Yeah, absolutely. So that brings on Southampton, Dad. Again, another team who you'd expect to do well, who have started poorly. I mean, they did have Will Still. Obviously, they brought him in during the summer. You would back Southampton at the start of the season before it all kicked off, them to be a promotion contender, wouldn't you? They're in 17th. they're 3 points behind Blues. You know, when I watch them, there's definitely something missing. And I think now Will Still's gone and they're going to get a new manager in and they can clear the slate and start afresh. Again, similar to the Norwich theory, I think Southampton will start climbing the table again once they get in a little bit of form. But there's definitely been something missing. But they've got some good players like Adam Armstrong, Azaz, Tom Fellows, Ryan Manning, you know, some really, really good individuals. And I think once it does start to click for them again, there's no doubt about it, they'll be a top pushing team even, you know.
Yeah,
Playoffs, I think, is still reasonable for them if they get firing quickly.
Yeah, again, they're another team that I'm surprised to see where they are in the table. You did expect them to be higher. I mean, the first 10 games, they won 2. They won their first game. They beat Wrexham 2-1. That was like late as well. I think Wrexham
2 90-plus minute goals, I believe it was.
Yeah, so they beat them. Then they drew away at Ipswich. That's a tough start for them. So, and then they lost at home to Bristol City. Then a couple of draws, a loss, a draw. Then they beat Sheffield United away. Then a great run. They lost. They drew with Derby, drew with Swansea, and then 3 defeats in a row. And I think that's when Will Still was sacked. And then they've won their last 2 games. So since he's gone, they've actually won their last.
Exactly. Who's in charge now? Is it just a caretaker manager?
Caretaker at the moment, yeah. And again, by the time this goes out, they could have had a new manager appointed. But they beat Queen's Park Rangers away, and then they've beaten Sheffield Wednesday. So they are a team capable of significantly improving. I think they will. They've got some good players, haven't they?
Yeah.
Adam Armstrong stands out really, doesn't he?
He scored against us last time.
He always scores against us. Anytime he plays us, he scores against us. But again, you look through their team as well. You know, it's full of. Don't forget, I know they had a really rubbish season last season, but they were Premier League last season, so they have got good quality players. But they're another team that I see really having to kick on now. And obviously they've Norwich had the experiment with Liam Manning. These have had the experience with Will Still. It hasn't worked out for either. They've now changed. So I expect to see significant improvements on both teams there.
But again, Dad, not an easy place to go, is it? It's funny, we say this about every game, mostly in the Championship, but Southampton in particular, knowing their history in terms of Premier League last season, you know, it's the 4th game out of the 5. Who knows what form they'll have at that point? It's St. Mary's is going to be a difficult place to go, isn't it?
Yeah, I look, like you said, I don't think there's an easy away game in this league, to be honest.
And that brings on to last but by no means least, QPR. And I remember, Dad, do you remember we did a couple of videos in the summer? And who was your dark horse for the season? Was it Preston?
Yeah.
And they're doing quite well. Yeah. And mine was QPR.
Yeah.
Just because of the players that they'd signed. And again, Dad, my feedback for QPR, my observations of QPR, similar to Watford in terms of they're very unpredictable. Yeah. You don't know what QPR team are going to turn up. And I think that's reflected in their results. Again, I'm sure you're going to read them out in a minute, Dad. Very inconsistent, some very random ones in there as well. But again, when they turn it on and they play football, they play some really lovely, fluid football. Yeah. And they're capable of scoring some very good goals. But what I would say is they are very leaky at the back. They do concede some very, very cheap goals. You know, moments of individual errors, some soft goals in the box. I mean, similar to Blues, if you think about the context of set pieces, how many goals have we given away from corners and long throws and various things? QPR remind me of similar there in terms of a little bit more vulnerable at the back. But yeah, again, a good side going forward, and who knows what they're going to do on the day.
I bet their fans are really first. You know, like you say, would turn up every week. So what are we going to get this week? Because you know, they really are the epitome of hot and cold. Because you know, they lost. They drew their first game against Preston, which obviously turned out to be a good result. Then they lost 2-1 at Watford and a 7-1 at Coventry. Obviously, talking about the leaking goal. Then after the 7-1, 3 wins in a row. They beat Charlton at home, beat Wrexham 3-1 away, which is a good result as well, and beat Stoke 1-0. Great results. And then they drew 1-1 at Sheffield Wednesday and drew 0-0 at Oxford, which 2 disappointing results. Another win away at Bristol City. Then they've lost 4 of the next 5. They've lost at home to Millwall, beat Swansea away. Then they've lost to Derby away, lost at home to Ipswich, and lost at home to Southampton. And then last game drew 0-0 away at Sheffield United. If that's not the epitome of inconsistency, I don't know where. So you go for it's either like really good run, loads of points, and then suddenly they go on a run like this. It's really hard to judge, isn't it? Really, if you look at their who they beat, obviously Coventry was a big. You'd think after 7-1. You know, you look at that result and they're going to be in trouble really early in the season. But straight after that, they get 3 wins in a row. And that can happen in football sometimes, can't it?
Yeah.
Good results against Stoke and away to Bristol City and Charlton. You know, they're good wins away at Wrexham. So they've got it in them, and I like again look through their team. Obviously, we know about Poku. He's had a season where he hasn't played really at all. He's been injured, and he would have been injured if he'd come to us. So that's good for us. But you look through their team. Obviously, Richard Kone. He's no, they bought him.
Yeah.
Is
He's
it
a good player as well,
Yeah,
Kone.
Roman Burrell. They bought him as well, didn't they? They bought him in from Wickham. Sorry, not Wickham. He was from Burton, and he's done very well as a number 10. But they got Elias Chair, and as their right winger, and Kariaka Dembele. So he's right, so he's left, isn't he, to Elias Chair?
Sariki's younger brother.
Yeah. And again, Jimmy Dunn and Steve Cook, a really experienced centre half pairing. As well, Ben Hamer in goal, an experienced goalkeeper. Again,
good
another team. We do this for every team. You look through and you pick out their players. Actually, they're a good side, And like you say, they do play attractive football. Again, we're away again. Another tough one.
On Tuesday night, I think it is in December.
Tuesday or Wednesday,
and
I think tickets go on sale quite soon for that. I think they're giving us 1,700 tickets.
Yeah, I think the Blues didn't put the Southampton ticket up, so the Blues fans are now giving other fans updates on the tickets. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
I mean, Dad, looking at all these games then, because I'm wary of time. We've got Norwich, West Brom, Watford, Southampton, QPR. And I know you normally line a few questions up for me, but I'm going to fire you the first one, which you would typically hand to me. Yeah. What's a good points return for Blues from these 5?
Well, like you said, 3 away, and we haven't got great away form at the moment, which we do have to change. But if I had to pick a good points haul from those games, I would go 8 or 9.
Yeah, I'd say 9.
Yeah.
Mine was going to be 9. Yeah. So that's 2 home wins and then 1 win on the road, or maybe
two home wins and 1. So
then 2 losses. But then I think 9 points would be good.
Roughly 9 points.
Roughly 9.
Any more than that would for that set of games would be very, very good for us.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't think we're at that point yet because I don't think our squad is fully developed. We've got January to come, but we're not there yet, and I'm not confident predicting like 10s, 11s, and 12s like we were last season because I think 9 out of those would be very good.
No, I totally agree, Dad. But as always, Birmingham City supporters, we would love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Maybe you're a supporter of one of the 5 clubs we've mentioned. You've seen your club in the thumbnail, you've seen it in the title. Again, drop us a comment in the section below. We'd love to hear from yourself as well. And if you like this video specifically, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and check us out on our social media channels. We have an X page, we have an Instagram page, and we're also on Spotify, so you can listen or watch us over there. And if you haven't already, don't forget to press the big red subscribe button and press that bell icon so you get notified every time we post. And myself and Dad will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.